Slave of the Magic Capital's Elite Troops is an isekai manga from Takahiro, the creator of Akame ga Kill. After learning about the upcoming anime from 7 arcs a couple weeks ago, I decided to give the manga a shot. This manga is one of the most unique isekais I've seen in terms of its general premise and world. Slave of the Magic Capital's Elite Troops takes place in a world where women are regarded as superior to men following the discovery of another world called Mato. Discovered decades ago, Mato is home to dangerous creatures called shuki, as well as mysterious peaches that only give abilities to women when eaten. The Japanese government created the Anti-Demon Corps, an organization consisting of women with powers to manage activity related to Mato and the gates that connected to the human world. One day while walking home from school, Yuki Wakura suddenly finds himself in Mato. It's not long before he's chased by a few shuki, but luckily the chief of the Anti-Demon Corps' 7th unit, Kyoka Uzen, quickly comes to his aid. In order to save them, Kyoka uses her ability to enslave Yuki, causing him to transform and unlocking his true strength. After defeating a horde of shuki together, Yuki accepts Kyoka's offer to work for her. Volume 1 consists of Yuki starting his life as Unit 7's caretaker and fighting alongside Kyoka to kill the shuki that appear frequently around them. I really enjoyed reading this, and what grabbed my attention immediately was the distinct plot and setting, as well as the comedic panels. I'm not exaggerating when I say that this manga is so different from other run-of-the-mill isekais out there. I could be wrong, but I strongly believe that Takahiro took inspiration from what was going on here in the US several years ago with the discussion of gender equality and feminism being on the rise. The author has not only created a unique other world that has its own mysteries with Mato, but also an alternate version of our world with superpowered women where society functions slightly differently. I appreciate the way that he quickly illustrates how different the lives of women and men are early on within the first chapter in just a couple of panels. A few pages into the first chapter, there are 2 contrasting panels that were not only funny, but showcase how inequality between the sexes would impact one aspect of daily life. Although most of the first volume takes place in Mato, Takahiro does take some time to briefly expand the reader's knowledge about the human world. The author also provides the reader with a little information about Mato. There isn't a lot of exposition besides a few pages in the first chapter. Volume 1 consists of 5 chapters, with the first 2 chapters being the longest, around 50 to 60 pages. The subsequent chapters are much shorter and are around 20 pages. Aside from chapters 3 and 5, there is a consistent mix of action, comedy, and fan service throughout Volume 1. I think the first 2 chapters benefit from being much longer in that it allows for more character interactions outside of the comedy or the fan service panels. Chapters 3 and 5 are the only chapters where there isn't a lot of action, but there's more of a focus on the characters. In regards to the characters, I liked everyone in Unit 7 so far except Himari Azuma. There are some issues with the dialogue, but that has more to do with the translation that I was using, which I will touch on later. Anyway, the main character Yuki is the kind of character that I find it hard not to root for, because even when something good happens to him, something bad is coming right around the corner. Before joining Unit 7 in Mato, he was dreading a boring life after high school and desired to do something that matters. Yuki agrees to join Kyoka in hopes of becoming a hero and being popular with the ladies. There are also a couple more reasons why he decides to go work for her, one of which I won't spoil, and the other is rewards. Rewards like this, for example. Let me explain. Whenever Kyoka enslaves a living thing, her power forces her to give a reward relative to the work they put in. She loses control of her body and essentially becomes a slave to her own ability, which I think is a rather fitting drawback. The panels where Kyoka gives Yuki a reward occur usually after battle and is where the majority of the fan service comes from. While I'm sure this aspect of the manga might be unappealing to some people, others will probably enjoy it and look forward to it after every fight. At the very least, it serves a purpose in much the same way the comedic material does, in that it helps to break up the action. This is one aspect of the manga that I hope that the anime doesn't overdo, as the fan service is worked in organically. Of course, the character isn't just used solely for fan service, and just like Yuki, she has her own goals that she wants to accomplish as a chief in the Anti-Demon Corps. She desires to become the leader of the organization and eradicate the shuki. I won't spoil why Kyoka wants to accomplish that. All I'll say is that it's a very personal matter. She needs power in order to achieve her goals, and that's why she needs Yuki. As the chief of Unit 7, she is usually quite stern when it comes to her subordinates, but can also be friendly and understanding. 3 members of Unit 7 are introduced in this volume: Shushu Saruga, Nei Okuamura, and Himari Azuma. Shushu is probably my favorite out of the three and is the only member of Unit 7 aside from Kyoka that has been fleshed out so far. The best way I can describe this character without spoiling anything is that she's devious and a bit of a thrill seeker. Nei is the youngest member of the group and is typically high-spirited and is very friendly toward Yuki. Unlike Nei, who is very welcoming of their new caretaker, Himari is immediately hostile towards him simply because he's a man. Her sour attitude toward Yuki and the way that she treats him is exactly why I can't stand the character. However, she isn't a bad character and it's totally understandable why she feels like she does initially towards him. Thankfully, Takahiro has avoided the harem trope that is often overused in the genre, and I like that at least two of the girls have some combat prowess along with a powerful ability. Before I touch on the artwork, I have to talk about the quality of the translation. Just like with my other manga reviews, I had to rely on fan translations as this manga won't be available officially in the US until June 21st, 2022. The translation I read had a lot of grammatical errors and a few misspellings. There were also lines of dialogue that were oddly phrased, or instances where a character refers to themselves in the third person, which is an issue that I've seen with a lot of these fan translations. There were some minor things that I noticed as well, such as the translator leaving in a common Japanese phrase or including an Irish word, which stood out from the rest of the translation. The translation could have been much better, as most of the issues could have been resolved with simple proofreading. While the translation is very flawed, the artwork by Yuhei Takamura is very good. I love the way that he draws the characters in the more humorous panels, and the action pages look great. In general, the panel organization is good, he makes good use of the space on the page, the action was easy to follow, and there are a handful of splash pages that look very cool. One thing that I liked about the action that I hope the anime can capture effectively is the scale of the battles. There are times where the characters are fighting against a large horde of Shuki or even a massive Shuki. That sense of scale and scope that Takamura nails is an aspect that 7 Arcs has to get right with their action scenes. All in all, Slave of the Magic Capital's Elite Troops Volume 1 is a solid start to the story that includes a very interesting conclusion that sets up what seems to be two major antagonists. I believe this manga has all the right elements to make for a very successful isekai anime if adapted correctly. It's funny, has tons of action, and the fan service is sure to please a lot of people out there. The story seems interesting so far, and the characters are likable for the most part. If you're looking for something different within the isekai genre and don't mind some fan service periodically, then I would highly recommend checking this manga out. If you read this manga, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section below, and as always, thank you guys for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.